You've heard of Wolf Creek, you've heard of The Loved Ones, but there's another Aussie horror movie lurking in the shadows. I think it's time we talk about Storm Warning from 2007. A couple called Rob and Pia go on a boat trip. They get lost and seek shelter in a remote farmhouse during a storm. Unfortunately, the house is occupied by three deranged locals. What begins as a misadventure becomes a violent, terrifying fight for survival. I want to start off by saying that Storm Warning is criminally overlooked. It's a film that came and went, and not a lot of people had seen it. It came out in DVD, it came out in Blu-ray, but only limited numbers, and not limited because they knew it was going to sell out, limited because they didn't think anybody wanted to see it. There was no hype, there was no buzz, it was just waiting to be seen. But it's tight, it's well paced, and it's incredibly effective. And I think it should be mentioned along the same lines as movies like Wolf Creek. Something I love about Australian horror films is that landscape, because the landscape is vast and it's absolutely stunning. When you look at Aussie horror films, they often use the sun-drenched horror like Wolf Creek or Razorback, etc. But here it's soaked in rain and floods. The thing is, the rain doesn't just add that atmosphere, it becomes a threat too. I just love the look and the aesthetic to the rain with that Aussie horror, because when it rains heavily and the characters themselves can't really see in front of their faces, and it stops them from escaping as well. If we look at the characters, the fact that we only get 5 main characters with it's a small cast, so the fact that there is only 5 characters, we get to know each character individually. We've got Pia, she's a French artist, and she's visually and emotionally out of place. But the thing about her is she's calm, she's clever, and she's observant. By the end of the movie, she becomes the heart and the hero of the story. Her partner Rob, he's a lawyer, he's logical, he's composed, but he's inexperienced in violence. You can tell that he tries to reason with the criminals at the beginning of the movie, but quickly realises it's not going to do him any good. So before we move on to the villains, what happens is Rob and Pia go on this little boat trip, just something to pass the time. You can tell they're well off, they're quite rich, and they accidentally stumble upon these 3 guys. But the problem is they can't get back to where they were trying to get to, so they're stuck in this place, and the only help that they have is these 3 guys. If I'm right in saying, Brett and Jimmy are brothers and their father is Poppy. Brett looked like the clear leader of the group until Poppy arrived, because Poppy was, I don't know if he was sedated or if he was injured or something, but he was sleeping for the first part when Pia and Rob turned up. So it seems like Brett was the leader of the gang. Jimmy was this childlike but dangerous younger brother, I would imagine, so he was just doing everything Brett told him to do. And of course we've got Poppy, who we see as the eventual leader, and he looked like he was drunk at the start, but as he came to, he became quite a smart leader. I think the good thing about the 3 characters, now I've never been to Australia myself, but the good thing about the 3 characters, the 3 bad guys, is they felt grounded and more realistic than your average horror movie. Something that I did like about them was they shifted from playful to terrifying whenever they wanted to. When they first took Pia and Rob in, they were very passive aggressive, they were hiding their clothes from them, they were just not wanting to do things with them to help them, and Rob and Pia noticed that straight away. They knew it before anything was going to happen, because Rob and Pia accidentally stumbled upon one of their huts, their sheds, that had a lot of cannabis in it, so they, as the villains, didn't want to let them go just in case they told anyone. So after Pia and Rob knew they weren't going to get out of this alive, it was time to fight back. The second half of the movie was about them just trying to fight back and survive and get away from these 3 guys. Now there was one scene that I think, if this movie was huge, would become an infamous scene, and I don't want to get too graphic about it, but there was a scene where Poppy was trying to assault, I'm doing this, I don't know why, he was trying to assault Pia, and she put something inside of her internally so that it was like a trap, so when he entered, he couldn't get out without ripping something off. And it was a disgusting scene, quite a satisfying scene to watch, but Like I said, if this was a massive movie, this scene would be infamous. I think because of what Poppy and his kids tried to do to Pia and Rob, their survival instincts, they felt more earned rather than forced. Jamie Blanks, who directed Valentine and Urban Legend, directed this movie. And if Jamie, if you're watching, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe this is the first movie that Jamie Blanks directed in Australia. And that's strange because Jamie Blanks is Australian. Whether that's his first movie or not, it's quite fitting because it's an Australian movie directed by an Australian. And I think because it is an Australian directing an Australian movie, I think he has more experience knowing what types of things happen in the outback. Something that Jamie Blanks does perfectly in this movie is he doesn't give us any silly jump scares. There's no gimmicks in the movie. It's just pure dread. He likes to build the tension in this movie with the pacing and the atmosphere. The violence is harsh, especially that scene that I mentioned, but it never feels excessive. At the end of the day, Storm Warning is raw, tight and effective, and it is one of those Australian horror movies that if nobody tells you about it, you'll probably never hear about it. It definitely is a hidden treasure for fans of survival horror and Aussie horror. I feel like it was beautifully shot, brutally acted and emotionally satisfying. Great direction, haunting location and a powerful lead in Pia. If you've never seen it, I feel like you're missing out. If you've seen this movie, guys, leave your thoughts and opinions down below. Let me know what you think of it. If you haven't seen the movie, like I said, I highly recommend it, guys. But as always, thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for subscribing and I'll see you soon.
I'll be right back.
What are you waiting for, huh?
Coming to get you, Barbara.
Ever played Skin the Cat?
Someone's in the back!